Another way of thinking about regression is determine the equation of curve from points. I'll come by in a bit. I'm just going to speed through this one. So far, we were given the equation and we're able to use second trace dot dot dot, right? To answer questions. We will learn to find the equation that best fits the points in the question. I'll start talking about test probably end of next week. Give you a bit of a timeline, okay? But for now, we're just gonna, it's a longer unit, so no need to worry about it just yet, okay? We use Quadratic in our calculators to determine the equation. Quadratic, the name kind of says it, right? Quadratic regression. You will see different regressions on the calculator, but we're just going to stick with quadratic, right? Needs a minimum of 3 points. That's key, okay? Quadratic regression needs a minimum of 3 points on that parabola for it to be able to come up with a quadratic equation. More points equals more accurate model, okay? Because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to model the scenario we're presented with, Okay, so they're going to give us a scenario and we're going to try to come up with a quadratic equation that best fits our scenario, our situation. Quadratic needs 3 inputs. And it's going to be x values, y values, and where to store the equation. So it needs 3 things. And notice that this is actually like a button, comma, like it's actually a button, right? So it's not just, I'm not just putting it in there. And you'll see that we have comma buttons on our calculators. Okay, so actually if you don't have it handy, start thinking about getting it because you're going to need it soon, right? So steps to perform a regression. So the nice thing is next year, if you're taking grade 12 applied, the steps to do this is the main steps are the same, okay? Next year you're going to see cubic, you're going to see sinusoidal, which is the sine wave, right? You're going to see exponential curve. So you're going to see various different functions, but the main steps are done the same. So number 1, turn on plot 1. Y equals, right? Highlight plot 1. That's how you turn it on. Okay. Then you press stat, that's a button. Then you're going to go to edit. Enter data into L1 and L2. And I'll just make a note here. Make sure to clear previous entries. You can do this by highlighting L1, then press clear. Just gonna check here. If I have to press enter or no, I forget that. Yeah, you have to press enter. Press clear, then enter. Number 3, third step, we're going to press stat. And I'm going to actually write out exactly the steps, okay? Stat calc quadratic so for now just trust me, okay? Second 1 There's a comma button. Second 2 is the comma button again. Vars. Y vars. It's overwhelming now, but it won't be after, okay? I promise. And then enter, press enter 3 times. I know it's overwhelming, just write it down for now. It's for you to look back later. You should see quadratic L1, comma, L2, comma, Y1. That's what your home screen will show once you've done that, once you've performed it. You're going to do this so many times that you're not even going to think about this anymore. But just in case you need to review it, right? It tells you how to do it exactly. And I believe that handout that I gave you doesn't do it as detailed as this. So leave that. Okay, so let's try an example here. Determine the quadratic equation that best fit the points. It's also the line of best fit, okay? We're gonna have xy, make a table like this. -4, -5, -1, 2, 2, 1. So when you're trying to find an equation that best fits these points, and you know it's a quadratic, right? This is what we're going to do. We're going to try to go through the steps I just gave you, okay? So make sure everybody has this written down. If you're at home, take a few seconds, make sure you catch up, because now I'm going to use the calculator to go from here. Check the status of your battery, okay? So the first step, and that actually doesn't matter if you do it first off or you do it later, but I suggest you do it right away. You know you're gonna do a regression. You're gonna use stuff from these points here. So let's go ahead and turn that on. So we go y equals turn on plot 1. You don't have to clear anything that's in here, but I will clear it. I will clear all the equations that are there. Make sure plot 1 is turned on, right? So you just go to the top, highlight it, hit enter, and then it should stay highlighted, right? Now we're going to enter our data. We're going to enter these things into our calculator. So that's when the second point comes in. So press stat. There's a stat button that's just under delete. You should see this. And just to, yeah, okay. And then edit is the very first option. So just hit enter. And you should see, I hope you have stuff in there actually. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have stuff in there because they were all used by my students last semester. So to clear things that are in there, just go over, like if you're already at the top, could you get it? Thank you. Hey, Simon. Go to the top and then hit clear. You have to go to the top, hit clear, and then hit enter. And it will delete everything that's in there because you might have a lot of stuff in there. You don't want to go delete, delete, delete every single one, right? So just go to the top, hit clear, enter. If you have stuff in L2, which most likely you will, go to the top, hit clear, enter. And now let's type in what we will do here. L1 is always our X values. L2 would be our Y values. So this is what I want you to do in your notes. I want to tell you that put an arrow and you say that will go into L1, the X values, and the Y values will go into L2. And once you've written that in, go ahead and enter those into your calculator. Make sure you use the negative button, not the minus, because it's going to complain. So I'm going to go -4, enter, right? And then it's -1, enter. And then it's 2, enter. So I'm just entering the X values into L1, all right? Then you go over to L2. So let's say you're like, whoa, where are you, Mr. Dirksen? I don't know how you got here. I'm going to go second mode, right? Second mode gets you to the home screen. You press stat and enter basically, or edit, and that gets you back to these L1, L2, okay? And you have lots of columns here. If you're saying I don't have L2, hold on, I know why. I will help you out in a bit, so don't panic just yet. -5, right? Enter, 2, enter, 1, enter. So you're entering all the X values into L1, L2. Make sure you check that you have the same number of values in each row. Okay, so 3 here, 3 there, perfect. Let's make a mistake on purpose. So let's say you're coming back in here and you want to clear what's in L2, right? So go to L2 all the way to the top, and it's on a Friday, right? And you're not thinking, and you hit delete. So everybody press delete. No, Mr. Dirksen, I'm writing my test and I'm panicking, right? Where is it? This is how you fix it, okay? So press stat. Everybody at home, press stat. Once you deleted that column, it takes you back to this these settings here. You go to setup editor. So all the way to the last one, setup editor. So it will basically reset everything. So hit enter, and then you hit enter one more time because it's asking you, should I go ahead? And you hit enter and it will say done. Now you press, let's go check what happened. So stat, edit, and it's there again. You should see it. Yeah, it's like an undo. So it happens all the time. Students press delete. I don't know why they do it that way. I would just say leave it, right? Try to erase, yeah. So are you all good here? Were you able to get it back? Yeah. Yeah. Is your L2 still gone? Okay. Okay, so let's go. If your L2 is still not there, we're gonna go stat. We're gonna go to setup editor. You can do it again if you're already done it, like it's not gonna hurt you. And then hit enter one more time when it's in your home screen. And it should say done. Okay, now let's go check again. So stat, edit, and you should have both there. Yeah, everybody good here? Sometimes I'm going too fast. At home, I hope you're okay. So, okay, that's done now. We've done second step, entering our data into L1 and L2. So now we're gonna actually perform the regression. Okay, so now you gotta stay with me. So press stat, statistics, basically. We're gonna go sideways to calculate. You see that there on top? So go arrow sideways to calculate. You're gonna go to quadratic regression, which is the fifth option. I'm gonna walk you through it again anyway, and then you hit enter. As soon as you hit enter, this is basically a program the calculator has, and now it's asking, this one is asking for input, okay? So you're gonna say, remember I told you it needs to be told where the x values are, which is L1. It needs to be told where the y values are and where do you want the equation to go, all right? So that's what we're gonna do. Watch, I'm gonna try to have my whole calculator on there. So you gotta slowly follow me here. L1, if you see it, it's just above 1. I don't know if you can see that. There's a big L1. So to access that, we have to press second. That's why the long formula that I give you has second every time, right? So second, L1, right? So you press second 1 to call L1, right? Then you go comma. There's a comma button just above 7. You were wondering what that's there, right? What is that doing? No, it's not for English or anything like that. It's just to separate entries. L1, comma, second, 2. We'll call L2. Got it? Comma again. This is the one where you have to pay attention right here. There's a button called vars. That's for variables, right? So you press vars. And then at the top, you'll see y vars, y variables, that is. So go sideways to it. And then you hit, from here, it's enter, enter, enter. Watch. If you press enter, yes, we want it into y1. So just leave it there, hit enter. Now you've called it, right? And if you hit enter one more time, at this point, it's going to execute the program. And so you should see this. Yeah? Okay. Anybody not seeing this? Simon, are you? I might have to talk to you in a bit. See if you can get it. I get an error. Can you do it again? Okay, yeah. What error are you getting, Vince? Or did you clear it already? Syntax, okay. Syntax error means something went wrong in the way you typed it in. So my guess is if I go arrow up, I can't go arrow up. I'm going to go second mode to quit this. Second mode quits that. And then remember, second mode always quits a screen. It takes you back to the home screen. I'm going to go up, arrow. Do you have that exact entry here? If I'm going arrow up on my history, right? Is that how you entered it, Vince? Do you have any extra commas there? Or do you have a comma missing? Yeah. Sure, go ahead. I forgot a comma. Okay, so then this is what you do, folks. You highlight it, you hit enter, it will copy it for you. And if you missed anything, then you do it again, right? You enter the comma. I will do it one more time, okay? I'm going to clear my screen. So let's say I entered everything in stat in L1 and L2. So I would go stat, calculate. I want quadratic regression, so you can press 5 or go down to quadratic regression. And then I'm going to go second 1, comma, second 2, comma, and then it's the tricky one, which you will practice this weekend. You press the vars button and you go to y vars, and then it's basically enter, enter, enter to do the actual regression. What we do now is we write it down. You round it to at least 2 decimals, right? Minimum. If you want more, that's good. I will never penalize you for giving me more than 2 decimals, as long as it's done correctly. If you give me less, that's not good. If you give me more and it's done incorrectly, you still lose rounding marks. So, okay, let's write it down. So that is, it's telling you that this is the general form, and so we're going to write down negative 0.444 x squared, right? Because the a value of that equation is this. All right, and then the b value is positive, so plus 0.111 x, right? So the b value, which goes in here, is there. And then one more, plus 2.556. There you need to round up, right? Because the 5 will bump that third value to a 6. Okay, so this is the equation of this graph. And I'll make a little note here because it happens all the time. Okay, don't forget y equals x squared or x, right? I have a lot of students just writing down the numbers or forgetting to put the little square on top of the x. That would be a notation error, so don't forget it. I'm going to make a b out of this. Determine the vertex. And we know that that is second trace. Do we know which way it's opening? What does this tell us? It's opening down, right? So we're going to have a max. And this is where it gets cool, okay? This is where it gets exciting. Maybe for me, not for you. I understand. We have the equation now, right? We could technically graph it and go and get everything we need from it, okay? Let's check out y, press y equals, because we told it to put it in y1 for us, right? So press y equals, and there it is. The whole thing, all decimals. If you go sideways, you'll see the whole thing typed in there. So do not type it in manually. Some students want to type in this one that they wrote down in here. Your numbers will be off, okay? So make sure you use it's basically copying it in there for you. Plot 1 is turned on. All right, let's graph it. Press graph. Because technically, whatever's in y1 will be graphed if you press graph, right? And you see a little graph on the corner here. You may not even see it, right? Depends on what you did for homework. So what I will do is I'll do this. There's something called, if you press zoom, you can only do this if you did a regression. Press zoom. And the last option here is zoom stat. That's option number 9. Okay? So you can press zoom 9. And you should see, I don't know if you saw that, but what are these 3 you think? Those are the points you entered. And it's perfectly matching them. It won't always, but it should match them as best as possible. I made sure this was a perfect quadratic, okay? So now zoom 9 doesn't always do the trick. It gets you close, and from there you change your window to make sure you see the whole curve. Do not press zoom 9. Sometimes you will literally just see a straight line, and students think, oh, it's a straight line. That's interesting. It's like, no, zoom out, right? Change your min max of the windows and try to see the whole parabola and where the vertex is and everything. So what's the vertex? Let's find out. Second trace max, right? Fourth option. The same as before. You hit enter to the left of the vertex. You hit enter to the right. Enter again. And there's your max, right? So the vertex is 0.12, 2.56. Wait, it's 0.12, right? Yeah. 2.56. So you found the vertex. Could you find the x-intercept? Absolutely. Right? I can ask the same questions I asked you so far for a word problem. This is not a word problem, right? This is not a word problem. So we would consider the whole thing. If I asked you to graph this, you would graph the whole thing just like before, arrowheads and everything. C, determine the x-intercepts. And there we'll just y2 is equal to 0, second trace, 5. Let's go ahead and do that. And let y2 equal to 0. And then I'm going to go second trace 5. I'm going to find the first one here on the left. Negative 2.280. Remember, if you get anything with e to the negative anything, is always 0, okay? Second trace 5. This is kind of pushing it, but I think I can still see the x-intercept on the other side. So I'm going to travel over to it and just hit enter, 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 enter. And that is 2.57. No, 2.530. Continue with the notes. A parabola has a vertex of 2, 5. It has 2 x-intercepts. One of which is negative 5, 0. Determine the equation of such parabola. Okay? And I will tell you the approach here. We need a minimum of 3 points. If you are given a point plus the vertex, you can easily find a third point. This is where, remember the axis of symmetry, the formula for the axis of symmetry, x1 plus x2 divided by 2. This is where that comes in handy. And so if we use this, right, we know that this is the axis of symmetry, right? This is the x value of the vertex. Okay, so when we substitute in, we know that the x value of our vertex is 2, and that is equal to -5 plus x2 divided by 2. I will just say this is the axis of symmetry, x value of vertex. Okay. X value of point given. So we know this. We were given a point. We're going to find that second point. So first of all, right, I don't know, I'm going to use a different color just so it sticks out. We want to get rid of this, so we multiply both sides by 2. Okay, that cancels this out. So you're left with -4 on this side, and on the other side you're left with -5 plus x2. The 5 comes over adding, so that's 4 plus 5 is equal to x2. x2 is equal to 9. And remember that these 2 points have to be at the same height, right? You remember that? I know it's Friday, but these are the same height. So when you find that x value of the second point, you can just use that height that the first point had in the first place, so that this third point is going to be 9, 0. Second y-intercept, or second x-intercept, that is, right? But in total, I have 3 points now. So I can do one of these. I'm going to ask you to do this quite often to set up your points. And the order doesn't matter. So this is my vertex. This is my first x-intercept. And 9, 0 is that third point I just found. Right, so you tell me the 3 points that I need. This goes into L1. This goes into L2. And this is how I need you to show me the work, okay? To find the equation, all you need to type in is stat calc quadrag. That's all I need you to do. I don't need you to write down that long thing that I showed you, right? Stat calculate quadratic regression. This is showing me that you're typing this into L1 and L2, so that's about as much work as I need you to show me here. And the next line should be the equation. And we're running very thin on time here, so stat, edit, I'm going to clear my entries. I'm going to type in the x values, 2, enter. You have to hit enter after every entry, that's the annoying part. 5, 0, 0. You have those 3 points. Then you go stat, calc, quadratic regression, second 1, comma, second 2, comma, vars, y vars, enter, enter, enter. You get negative 0.102 x squared plus 0.408x plus 4.592. That's if you round to 3 decimals, right? I could now ask for a whole bunch of things. I will add a graph, a visual on Monday here. So leave some room either underneath or beside here. And this is where you want your package, your homework package. It's actually right after what you've just done, the word problems. The textbook has nothing on regressions. Page 10 and 11. Make sure you know how to do this because it's the steps, right? Second tree, right? Doing all of that, which is very important.